You're in the mix.
SKM presents Strictly for the Music Podcast. You are now live with the #1 podcast for all upcoming artists worldwide.
It's the real
deal.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode. This is Strictly for the Music Podcast. I'm your host, SKN, and it's just a guy live with Red. It's an artist from the UK with a single out, HatchBack, an upcoming album, Chops and Robbers. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcoming to Tommy Brown.
Hey man, thanks for having me on here. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hey man, I appreciate the time. It's an honor to have you on this podcast.
Thank you.
Man, your music is very authentic. I like your sound. I like what you're doing. So let's get straight to this. Describe it to the audience, big dog.
Describe myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no worries. Well, I'm from the UK, the south coast of the UK, sunny Portsmouth. If anyone knows that city, it's a lovely seaside town. And basically, I make music. I channel sort of a deep passion for that music and everything that comes with that in my lyrics, especially to do with the world. I mean, we're going to get into this, I think, over the coming minutes. But yeah, I enjoy writing stuff, putting that to music, putting it out there, hoping people like it. Generally, they do. And if that message that I'm trying to get across gets to them, then for me, that's like, that's mission success right there.
That's dope, bro. So let's talk about how you started getting involved with music, bro.
All right, nice. Well, I've always been one for writing stories. Ever since I've been a kid, really sort of being creative with that process there in terms of kind of putting down on paper the way I feel about certain things. And when I was a kid, that ranged usually from, I remember there was one lesson in school, I was writing a story about marshmallows. They had like their own personalities and stuff. And, I've always written stories with wacky, but managed to have some sort of meaning in the end, which I've always enjoyed. And then sort of I got to university, and then it was then I was able to, these stories that I had been writing my whole life became more poems, I guess you could say, throughout my teenage years. Got to university, I touched base big time with sort of, Notorious B.I.G., artists like that, icons in hip hop. And it kind of taught me how to put these stories into a rhyming scheme. And so, the stories became poems and they became tracks. And that's kind of how I got started right there, man.
That's dope, bro.
Yeah.
So, man, let's go to your catalog, man. What was the first song you released to the masses?
Right. So the first song to the masses was, there's a YouTube video called Wonky Junkies and Monkeys. That is about 4.5 minutes long. It's a monologue, essentially. So, I'm talking about my feelings about the world, the kind of society we exist in, the problems with it that I could perceive at the time. Pretty much shot a video for that in Portsmouth. Went around a few locations, and it's great looking back at that, because at the time I didn't know where this music was going to take me. So it's kind of a trip down memory lane when I look back at that. But released that video. That didn't go on Spotify. That was just on YouTube. So all the other streaming platforms, I wasn't even aware of how to get on there at this point, because that's going back to when I was 18, 19. Started putting that one together. That track, actually, Wonky Junkies and Monkeys, that actually ended up on my debut album, Emergency, which was the first proper official release, the first major release. That ended up on streaming platforms such as Spotify and iTunes, etc. Wonky Junkies was on there, and we actually worked it up a bit more in the music. We got it remastered, added some new instruments, and it just popped even more like the second time round. That went down really well as well, and it's just since then we're going from strength to strength.
That's amazing, big dog. Hell yeah. Oh man. So whenever I was doing my little research on you, I came across a song of collaboration. You were doing a live performance, and the song you were performing was "Forgetful."
Forgetful.
Yes.
Okay, nice. So that research you undertook, mate, it looks like, because that's actually a track of a good friend of mine, Rockefeller Skank, who I released the track with. Yeah, you're right. I collaborated with him on Misty Days, which is the track we put out. So you've gone onto, I think, his YouTube channel and found potentially a video performing that song live. Forgetful was not my track.
Oh, okay. Well, let me ask you this, man. How did this collaboration come upon?
Yeah.
And what was it like working with the artist?
Oh man, I mean, I first met Rocky going back to university days again, good few years ago now. We were working at a local nightclub together, just slinging Jaeger bombs from behind the bar, and doing that very well, may I add. And then, it's just sort of one thing led to another. We discovered we both sort of write things. Nothing happened for a while. And then a couple of years down the line, things have progressed for me enough where I could reach out, having released a few bits and bobs to another artist. Rocky just seemed like, the perfect guy to work with because I was digging his style. And if you listen to Misty Days, we put that out together, and I think it just goes in hard. And again, every time I listen to that, it kind of reminds me of the time we had at Tiger. Even though we didn't write the track then, it's lovely how music can really bring emotion back from the past. And hopefully in the future we'll work together again.
That's really dope, man. My next question is, man, what song off Emergency means the most to
you? That's a good question. I mean, that album, I think it's 15 or so tracks on there. Maybe just shy of that. But if I was to pick one track, I've mentioned Wonky Junkies. That, for me, is like the first proper full-length set of lyrics I ever wrote. So there's a certain element to that where, I'm particularly, it's one of my favorites, definitely. But I guess the title of the album is Emergency. The track called Emergency on that album, it was like crazy. Overnight, we put that out and, it was getting picked up by radio, played. People were like actually loving it. And I was not expecting that reaction at all. I was hoping people would listen to it. And obviously, beyond that, you're kind of just out of your control. So as a result, that's really become close to my heart, that tune, because it kind of resembles, for me, like the start of what will hopefully be a long journey, and that kind of solidified for me my purpose with the music, in particular that track there. What I like about Emergency is there's sort of a bit of something for everyone. I've got some tracks on there, like I mentioned, about this being a monologue. We've got Sandpit. Now that song, every time I performed it's just, I feel so much emotion and I'm going for about 4 or 5 minutes, just constantly, putting my feelings out on that page, and as a vulnerable state to be in. And then I performed that live back in March, just before lockdown came into force in the UK. So it was kind of the last gig I went to, the last one I think a lot of people who attended went to before lockdown. And that song in particular, the show was really energetic, but for that song, I sat down on a stool and just poured out these emotions, and it was received really well. So as a result, I look back on that tune quite fondly. But hey, you're welcome to make your own mind up about what songs you love the most. But for me, I'd say all the above.
So off your first album, Emergency, is there any collaborations that you've done on the album?
On that album specifically, no, there isn't any artist featured, and there's a couple reasons for that. I mean, I want to make it clear that, shout outs every day to Diamondback Kid. He's the producer of all of my I've put out. We've made them in his bedroom. So in terms of explicit collaborations on tracks with other artists, not so much, but he has been a constant in the back, cooking up these beats, and it's in his bedroom, and the quality of the sound we've made is just phenomenal here. And the main reason actually that there isn't any other features on that is because I wrote all of the tracks over the course of probably 4 or 5 years. And then it culminated in meeting Dan, my producer there, Diamondback Kid, at a school where I teach, because I do a bit of teaching from Monday to Friday to kind of, pay the bills. And it's a beautiful job. But fortunately, on the job, I met him. And as a result, we managed to come together. He needed someone to put lyrics on some beats that he had. And I needed someone who had beats that could have lyrics on. So in the end, it was like over the summer holidays. So the course of 6 weeks, we sat down and I had a shoebox full of poems that I was just kind of kept banging out, and he kept banging out his beats. And eventually, we had a full album there. I've always wanted to collaborate with artists, and actually being on this podcast now is a perfect example of kind of, I was going to mention the benefits of social media, for marketing and networking purposes. You reached out to me, and I was so glad to be on here, and honoured, in fact, to be, because you're obviously over the other side of the pond there in America. So doing that and collaborating in that sense, I think is fantastic. And moving forward, I definitely want to be branching out and collaborating with other artists. I've got a few things in the pipeline currently, but I can't say much more about those just yet.
That's amazing, big dog. Oh man, my next question, man, is one of my favorite songs I heard from you, and it's called HatchBack.
HatchBack, yeah. Nice. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. That was, so the gig I mentioned back in March, that was like an EP launch. HatchBack is part of a 3-track EP titled HatchBack. You've got Mufasa and Cause and Effect on there as well. But HatchBack, there's an official video on YouTube for that one. That, out of all my tunes so far, is consistently, it's been the one I love performing, because not only, do I enjoy myself, but a lot of that enjoyment comes from the fact that I've got, my gang there in the crowd, and they're word for word going through it with me, especially for the chorus, that it seems to be really catchy. And I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes, absolutely, man. Let me ask you this, man. Your performances. What was the first performance you had, and what was the feeling that you were going through at the time?
I tell you what, it was actually at university, at a talent show. I had, like I said, I've been building up my repertoire of lyricism over some time, but not taking it too seriously. It was like just writing stories and almost in a therapeutic way, getting my feelings out onto a page, making sense of how I felt. Then there was this opportunity at university, which I think you guys call college over there. Just making sure I got that right. But then basically turned up at this talent show, and I was a bit nervous. I was like, is this what, do I want to do this? Do I want to go through with this? Because there was a room full of people. There's probably over 100 people in there. There was some other really good acts. We were on quite late. It was me with a microphone and a guitar, and my mate. And we'd prepared like a song where he was singing and I was doing the guitar, and that went down really well. I can still remember the song now. It hasn't been released yet. If it ever will be, I hope it will. But at the end of our little set there, I got up and did a few lyrics. I think I mentioned Trump, actually, thinking back. It was a set of bars I'd written, I think, when Trump sort of came in. When would that have been then? 2016. Yeah, around then. And the crowd received it really well. And since then, I was like, right, that's it. If people like this stuff that I've got to say, then, I'm going to go from there. And I guess that feeling of just what I putting my stuff on the page and then saying it was appreciated, in a real way by people, like, that was just so inspiring for me, and I've held on to that feeling ever since. So yeah, hope that answers your question.
That's amazing. Well, when I've seen your performances on YouTube, I gotta say, man, you seem like a natural performer. Do you have any advice for any upcoming artists in the UK that are planning to do shows, that maybe you can give them advice?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it can be nerve-wracking, because I think most artists, you kind of put in you're almost like your soul onto a page, and it's like you're almost naked. It's like, come on then, make of it what you will, you're saying to the audience, and hopefully they take it well. And I guess even if you make mistakes, that's probably the thing that people are nervous about the most. I know I have been at certain points, but you just got to make sure you rehearse and make sure that going into that room, you've got everything on lock. You learn things over time. No one's going to start perfect. I know I didn't, and I'm still not there. I'm still working my craft and stuff. So it's about persistence and being resilient. You will have self-doubt. That will creep in. You'll start asking yourself, do I belong here? But you've just got, if you believe in yourself, then anything's possible, really. I think, yeah.
Amazing advice, man. Thank you for that. So let me ask you this, man. I know you got an upcoming project, which we're going to get into later, but let me ask you this. Can we expect a new music video before the album?
Absolutely. It's coming, man. I'm working on it. I was meant to be shooting this weekend, but unfortunately I'm self-isolating due to COVID, which is not ideal. I was meant to be going out tomorrow to shoot it, so we've had to delay that a bit. But yeah, we've got some time. The album's going to be dropping, where are we? So in a couple months now, it will hopefully be out there. I've got the artwork back. So it's just a case of doing it, tying up a couple of loose ends, and that's out there. And I want to definitely release a video in the next sort of month or so to kind of promote that and, remind people what I look like essentially in front of the camera. So I've chosen one of the tracks off the new album. We're going to run that through on there. We're going to go down the seafront. It's going to be great. I can't wait to shoot that. And yeah, I can't wait for everyone to see it.
Dope. Right. Let me ask you this, man. Since we're stuck in this pandemic crisis, it's all over the world. Let me ask you this, man. Have you ever thought about performing live, like on Instagram Live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live? Like, would that be something you'd be interested in doing for your supporters out there?
I mean, absolutely. I feel like we have this great tool at our disposal in the form of social media, and I touched upon the benefits of it. The reason I'm speaking to you now is because of it, and it's fantastic in the way it can bring people together, of course, and I think part of that at the moment is, in the absence of real gigs, at least proper ones where, you get all the kind of sweatiness of it. That's what we miss, and that's really not going to come back for a little while. So I think we've all got to, as artists, make the most of what we can. And I try to do a little Instagram live video here and there. I did one the other night at rehearsals, and I'm currently organising a kind of live lounge thing. So if you stay tuned, you'll catch that. And yeah, I couldn't recommend it enough, I suppose, at the moment. But then equally, you don't want to burn yourself out with it. I think if you were gigging sort of once a week before, then maybe do, once a week, a little kind of live thing online, but each to their own. It's good to see so many people taking to it and recognising that opportunity is there. And to be fair, I think part of me thinks it might revolutionise the music industry. I know the way I look at social media has definitely changed over the last sort of 6 months, or however long. I've lost count now. I think it's 6 months or so, and we've been going through this pandemic. But yeah, man, it's been great because I've been able to see a lot of artists from around the world. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to see them as much, so it's great in terms of that as well.
Do you have any future collabs on the album that you should talk about?
Yeah, so the next album's called Carousels. It's a kind of pun. It's combining the word carousel and the word souls to give us carousels. And I'll get into the meaning behind that. Again, there's no explicit collaborations. I was planning for this one, but it was all written during lockdowns, or during when everyone's at home, wondering what to do with themselves. I just got sort of squirreled myself away. Was writing, and in the end, there wasn't a room for any collabs on this one. I've got Diamondback Kid producing it again, and we've brought in a few extra musicians on certain tracks, which is great. So there's a bigger team behind this one, and I'm excited to drop it. Yeah, and the collabs I mentioned, I've got a couple of singles with some other artists. I'm branching out into some drum and bass at one point, so stay tuned for that. We've got some other collabs happening, but again, I can't really say too much right now about them.
All right, dope, man. So far, what are your favorite collabs so far, man?
To be fair, like with other artists, I haven't done too many. Like the one with Rockefeller Skank is, for me, like, I love that tune. I've been looking to get some more. I've got 3 or 4, maybe 5 collabs lined up. So, and I've done my bit for most of them. I think there's one that the vocal isn't done yet, my end, but we're working on it. And I think come next year, come 2021, within the first sort of couple months, these things are going to start dropping, and hopefully on the back of my new album release, it's going to paint a bigger picture of kind of the artists that I'm working with as well, and kind of help promote the album and stuff too. So I'm excited for that.
Dope, man. Let me ask you this, man. If you could collaborate with any artist, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh, there's so many. I mean, to put your finger on it, that's an hard task right there. And I take a lot of inspiration from a lot of genres. I mean, it's got to be, if I could bring someone back from the dead, it's going to be Biggie. It's got to be, whether or not he'd want to collab with me, I don't know, but I'd definitely ask him. I remember listening to Greatest Hits when I was in sixth form. So when I was about 16, 17, I was working at a supermarket at the time and just used to drive to work listening to this Greatest Hits. I'd have my break, I'd sit in the car, I'd listen to it again. I'd go in, I'd drive home, I'd listen to the Greatest Hits album again, and it just, got into me, that my very fibres. So I think if I could ask Biggie for a collab, I definitely would. Currently, I mean, we've got artists in the UK. I don't know if you've heard of The Streets. They've been around nearly 20 years now. And they're iconic in UK garage in particular, and UK rap. And there's been some comparisons made between my stuff and The Streets. And that, when that comparison's made, that's like, wow, that is some serious comparison being made there. And I'm honoured every time I hear it, so if Mike Skinner, if you're listening, I'm interested in a collab. Yeah.
That's dope, man. Big shout out to you, man. Let me ask you this, man. How are you different from other artists?
I believe that every human being's unique, right? And as an artist, I'm kind of detailing and illustrating the human experience, my one at least, which I think is unique from everyone else, right? So that alone, I think no two artists are the same. And if you're an authentic artist, you're trying to just constantly reflect on who you are as an artist and putting that out there. And if you're truly doing that, then inevitably your stuff will be unique. If I'm going to talk about specifically my music and what makes that different to other stuff I hear, I would say, whilst I'm rapping my lyrics in a lot of it, it's not the music, the beats behind it aren't necessarily the kind of beats that you're going to hear in a lot of what is current right now, in the UK in particular. We've got a lot, the grime is a heavy influence at the moment, and I rate that stuff big time. But for me, when my music, it doesn't come out sounding exactly like that. So there's that, and also I try to offer a political perspective on stuff, and more speak about things consciously and have a self-awareness where I'm maybe not just trying to write something to sound good. It's, no, actually, there's a problem here in society, for example, and let's have a look at that, have a look at our role and how we can improve ourselves to improve the world and make a real difference. So I guess, a lot of artists are committed, aren't they? But I just feel like I am 100% committed to change I want to see in the world. And I guess there's a lot of artists maybe out there who have different motives, and that's cool, each to their own. But for me, it's like, you know, I'm willing to make a sacrifice on certain things if I can get the meaning across in my stuff that makes that change. And none of us can change the world by ourselves, but I want to do my bit there. So I hope that answers your question there. So,
who is your music targeted toward?
Great question. And do you know what? Explicitly, I haven't actually put down on paper what that demographic is. I think it changes. I'll use my mum and dad for an example. Shout out mum and dad, two beautiful human beings who do so much. Yeah, but I released songs in the past where potentially they didn't see it as a viable career choice, the music. But I hope they don't mind me saying that. You know, I was told, like, go to school, get qualifications, get a job, blah, blah, blah. And thank God, because I'm now in a position where I do have a salary that's kind of kept me afloat during these weird times at the moment. But getting back to your question there, these days, I think my mum and dad have got a lot more on board with it. And obviously they're the older generation. I hope they don't mind me saying that either. And there's definitely some stuff out where they just absolutely love it, and making them proud. Hearing them tell me that they love it is like, that fills me with a certain level of pride as well. So it's like, the point I'm getting at is that it appeals to different people, you know, the tracks. And I've got other ones which are kind of just me spitting angry lyrics about stuff. And for example, my mum and dad might not dig those, so they'll, go on to the other tracks that maybe have a bit of a chorus and are a bit more kind of, I guess, commercial, you could say. And I guess there's a whole range of ages that listen to my stuff. I can see that on the analytics on Spotify. It's a really cool feature of Spotify for artists. So young, old, got people all around the world listening at the moment, which is just amazing to see. Male, female, it don't matter. I guess people who want to know a bit more about the world or want to make a change in the world, like, fundamentally, that's who I'm trying to appeal to in my messages, So if you are sitting there and you want change, don't know how to make it, or you just got to start with yourself, and hopefully the lyrics in my music, whilst you can belong and have a good time to them, thanks to Diamondback Kid there for making these tracks pop, you can also take it in. And I guess, just people who are a bit conscious about stuff, but equally, if you can just listen to it and have a good time.
Amazing, bro. So let me ask you this, man. Favorite bar you ever spit on a verse?
Great question, that one. I've got out the new stuff, so I've got a song called Joysticks off of Carousels. I can't wait for everyone to hear this album, and in particular this track. I've got a little verse. I'm just kind of saying about society and how, we're getting sold down the river a little bit with certain aspects. And the bar is as follows. Where are we? So, right, in Joysticks, I've got a bar, and it's right. So I'm going, staring at the ceiling with delight, finding something to believe it's deep. Are we asleep? And we know no better, like a little shepherd sheep. And then this bit coming up now. Cheese like feta, please keep your receipt. Goes off September. I love that one.
Yeah, that's dope, man. That's amazing, bro. So what is it like growing up in the UK, man? Like, what is the history over there?
Well, growing up in the UK is, such a rich music culture over here. I saw the other day that I think last year there's a crazy amount of album sales in the world. Maybe as much as sort of 40%, maybe like a fifth of album sales in the world. Probably more like a fifth. That sounds more right. Came from the UK, which is just testament to the kind of, the character of the UK music scene. And that was very influential growing up, There's other things, like I played a lot of football growing up. I think when I think of my childhood, I think of the playground at school, wearing, it was usually school shoes that were very dark, kicking a ball around. usually a little ball, and that ball would just go flying over the fence there. You know, and then just the jokes and stuff, and just having the kind of freedom as you start growing up was insane, and discovering new things, especially in the music. And when they came out, like GRM Daily is a great platform for emerging urban artists in the UK, and started off ages ago now. And there's a good documentary at the moment, I think on their YouTube channel, about how they kind of came out of nowhere overnight. You know, they set up their website, and it was what the UK scene was kind of calling for in a lot of respects, especially up like in London and that. And that's where I was born, sort of South London way. And yeah, sort of, you know, there's just all the sort of typical stuff where you're out on your bikes as a kid, just going down the woods and riding over jumps, you know, and oh man, if I could get that back time, I would do it, because it was the best. But I was saying the other day that every year in my life seems to get better, you know, and so things can only be looking up. And despite what's going on, you know, I've been working hard for a long time now to kind of put myself in a decent position, and that all started in my childhood. I don't actually play football anymore as much as I'd like to. That was always the dream. I was always wanted to be a professional footballer. I used to find a penny on the floor, pick it up. You're meant to make a wish at that point. I always used to wish for being a professional footballer, you know, and that kind of didn't materialise. So then other things have come about, and because of all the influence I had during my childhood, yeah, it all just made sense to kind of move into the music. I'd say about 19, yeah. It was like after that talent showcase at university where, yeah, I kind of had a serious look at where I want my life to go. I played guitar from a younger age than that, from when I was about 12. Writing stories younger than that. The second that I got that reaction at that talent show at uni from the crowd, that was, I think, the moment it's a bit more serious. Yeah, and then it kind of built from there. You know, I dropped the debut album, Emergency, and that was received well. And it's just kind of, you keep going and you're wondering, is this going to go down well? Yeah, went down better than anticipated. Awesome. Next time we go harder. And yeah, it kind of builds from there, doesn't it, I suppose? Yeah, and we're looking to build on the next one, definitely.
What are your music guilty pleasures?
What's that going to be then? Guilty pleasures with music? Well, there's probably some artists out there I listen to. You know, I had on Blondie yesterday. So that old dance kind of disco is my guilty pleasures, I suppose. Like, but you know, not even, because I think it's kind of, you need to listen to as much as you can, and it's important to calling that a guilty pleasure. I don't know if you can even do that. If in terms of my creative process, probably the guilty pleasure is probably, like, I would say, probably going into for too long on making something when I could stop and go, that sounds decent, let's go with that. The guilty pleasure is indulging in that even further, to a point where, you know, it's hard to know when to stop on when you're creating those lyrics or that music, whatever it might be. Because I just enjoy that process so much. So often it can mean that I maybe don't get other things done, like whatever, my household chores, but do you know what? There's another time I can do that. So you've got to seize the moment and get what you need done, basically. Yeah.
So if Tommy Brown wasn't doing music, what would Tommy Brown be doing?
Changing the world in some way, I guess. You know, this has given me an avenue to try and get across that ambition of mine. If it can make a real difference, fantastic. So I don't know what I'd be doing. I might be doing charity work. Or something else. Like I mentioned, I do teach, so Monday to Friday, that's my working week, and it means I don't have as much time for the music during the week as I would like. But you know what? Like the opportunities teaching has given me alone, and for me, which I've then channeled through to my music. That is, you know, something invaluable right there. So I guess, yeah, like charity work or teaching, I'd probably be doing that instead. It's in this new album, Carousels, in a couple months. I want that to do well. I hope people like it, you know, and you can only hope for that. I love it, so I'm hoping other people do, and then that can be a springboard into next year for me. And moving forward, hopefully there's some more live shows to do. So I want to do shows with bigger crowds at bigger venues. Potentially that will happen, it might not. So I guess growing the audience, the fan base there is for me, like, in all honesty, going to be the goal. And the way I go about that, there's obviously loads of things we can do as artists to do that. Playing shows is one. So hopefully, yeah, we can get the shows back out on the road, potentially tours, you know. So I've done many things this year. Despite what's been going on, I've managed to put out all these new tracks, ticked other things off my list, you know, more radio play, etc. So I guess just building on that next year, and yeah, going from strength to strength is my objective. But as ever, I know that you've got to be patient, you've got to be persistent. You know, I know things won't happen overnight, but they're getting somewhere now, and yeah, it's really exciting.
What is the best advice you've been given?
Work hard, play hard. I think that is my mantra, actually, and yeah, I think it's important to kind of, especially today is World Mental Health Day. Not sure when we'll be putting this out, but I've been practicing a lot of, you know, self-care lately, and kind of meditating. I'm well in the meditation. I've been doing a bit of yoga as well, which is surprising to now admit that, because a few years ago maybe I wouldn't have even been interested. But I'm taking a lot of time to look after myself these days, and yeah, I guess that all stems from the advice of work hard, play hard. You know, that doesn't leave much room for kind of taking it easy in that mantra. But my belief is that, you know, you have to reward yourself in life, and if that's kind of on a Friday night, it's on a Friday night. And as I get older, I'm spending more time just with myself on for instance, on a Friday night, making the music. And for me, that never gets old. And I want to do that more and more. So yeah, just being kind to yourself. If that's true, how do you get your reward in life? You know, for everyone it's different, I think. But I think generally, if you work hard, then you can play hard. And I know that I've got this work ethic in me that's been instilled from a young age, from, you know, the advice of mentors and my mum and dad around me, you know, just giving me that advice and pushing me to do my best and be my best. And I think everyone should realise that they have greatness inside them. Like, everyone has this greatness inside of them. I don't think we realise that. So just having that affirmation, not from other people, but just to yourself, that sums up, I think, the advice, I've been given, which is invaluable, really, in life.
Oh yeah, bro. So let me ask you this, man. What would you say to any upcoming band artists in South London?
Make a name for yourself. I think network. Be nice. Like, people aren't going to want to work with you if you're not nice. So you got to get your foot in the door. You've got to have a good working relationship with someone. If it's a venue owner or another artist, you know, or management or whatever it is, you got to treat it with respect, because a lot of people have tried before. Some have succeeded, quite a few have failed. And I think where people fail is probably not being humble enough. So recognise it's going to take time. It's going to take patience. And it's going to take persistence. But yeah, just get out there and make a name for yourself, I think, is number one rule.
Dope, bro. So leading up to this question, you said you had an upcoming album ready to drop, Terror Souls. There's I went to your link on your bio in Instagram, and I seen another project upcoming, Sharps and Robbers.
Yeah, so that absolutely, yeah. So Kara's the name of the album. The artwork I haven't yet dropped for that, and this is kind of a little sneak exclusive preview of the album title. I haven't actually announced the name yet, so that's going to be. I'm excited to drop that and see. You know, the artwork is brilliant. I got this Mark Eastbrook doing my whole branding at the moment. He created a logo, and he's also done the Shops and Robbers cover. So Shops and Robbers is quite an energetic single, and it's going to be on the album. Shops and Robbers, the chorus is talking about current times, in particular the kind of pandemic. If you look at the cover art, there's a guy wearing a mask running away from the old Bill the police. And it touches on a lot of the stuff we've seen sort of in the news and what we know is going on in the world at the moment. And that's just the best bit. I can't wait for people to hear at the end. The drums go double time, and it's probably out of all my tracks the one where if that's played to a crowd, the crowd is going to mosh pit. And, you know, I would probably be jumping in the mosh pit as well from the stage, to be fair. But yeah, so I'm very excited for people to hear that. Shops and Robbers. It's going to be on the album. It's coming out as a single on the 23rd of October, so that's 13 days from today.
How is your music going to evolve from here?
I've started writing stuff for the next album, you know, where I said unfortunately, I've been told to self-isolate this weekend. And that's why, yeah, I'm still thrilled. The fact that we can chat over the internet is amazing, you know, for the fact that we wouldn't be able to do it in person right now. But as a result of this, I mean, yesterday I was writing lyrics for the next album. And yeah, I guess just moving forward, like I said, next year, we're just going to go from strength to strength and see where this goes.
No, bro. So can you plug in all your social media outlets and let everybody know where they can find your music so they can stream it?
Thanks for listening, everyone. And you can find my stuff, Tommy Brown Official, on Facebook as well, under the same name, Tommy Brown Official. All right, so come through, check that out, see what's popping. Got lots of announcements coming. I'm very excited to share what we've got in the pipeline with everyone. So yeah, Tommy Brown Official. I'm on all the streaming platforms as well as Tommy Brown. Yeah, thanks for tuning in again. Yeah, shout outs again.
All right, big dog. So you got any special shout outs you want to give?
Well, he's my best mate, come manager. I've mentioned my mum and dad. I've got to big them up. My little sister, my little brother, and everyone who's just tuning in as well. You know, MX Gang as well. They get a shout. But everyone who's tuning in and listening to my stuff, I just have so much love for you because it's because of that. It sounds cliche and we've heard this a million times, but genuinely, it's that keeps me going. The fact that people are appreciating what I'm putting out there into the world is priceless. And I can only hope that this is the start of a very long journey. So we'll see. But yeah, thank you, everyone.
That's right, man. It's an honor to have you on this platform. Thank you to all the listeners out there. Go stream his music. Go to his YouTube channel. Go check out his music videos. Very talented artist from the UK. Ladies and gentlemen,